Hey guys, welcome back to the Backyard Professor Chess videos. I've got a fabulous game to show you of Paul Morphy. This was one of 6 simultaneous chess games played all at once. New Orleans, 1858, and all 6 of those games simultaneous were also blindfold. That's how good Paul Morphy was. Let's take a look. Morphy is playing white, and he's playing an opponent in New Orleans, and Morphy pulls the bishop to c4. And his opponent follows suit. So now Morphy says, okay, let's challenge the bishop. And you kind of go, huh? It's what? I'm sure his opponent thought 6 games simultaneous blindfold is too much even for this guy. So thank you for the pawn. Appreciate that. I'll take that pawn of yours, Morphy. No problem. And now Morphy says, ha, I'll get your bishop back. But he says, no, not today. I'm going to keep my bishop for the time being. And Morphy says, well, if you're going to be that way, then I am going to go to the center. Again, we'll always see that theme. There's no question. But, he takes his center pawn. So now he's up 2 pawns, right? And you go, what is going on? Well, so it's okay. Morphy can return the pawn, except that it's pinned. Did you notice that? The importance of the pin here is really important. So Morphy is 2 pawns down. Now, normally that's not, it's a big deal on the Grandmaster level play, but notice that they're central pawns that Morphy is missing. So is he deliberately opening up the center so that he can attack through the center? That's the question. He's going to go ahead and castle, get the castling done early, and now, whoops, I dropped that pawn on its head. I hope it didn't hurt it. Now Morphy is 3 pawns down. What is going on? Bishop to rook 3. Now he's going to grab this strong diagonal, preventing the king from castling. This plays a major role in the game. And of course, he's going to try to limit the influence of that central bishop. The bishop is on the side of the board, but the influence all the way across the board, because it is a long distance piece, really shows in this game. And we will see the power of the bishops because the center is open. That means there's not a lot of pieces in it. And so Morphy uses that distance of his strong, distant pieces very, very effectively in this game. It's beautiful how he does this. And now queen to knight 3. Here we go. Not only is the bishop, now it is blocked, but you've got another pawn here to open things up. See how he set this up. But now you've got a queen backing a bishop going toward the king side again. So this is a big deal. Knight will come to rook 3. He's going to try to castle, it looks like, at this point. The knight is going to take the pawn here. Get rid of that pawn. Finally, Morphy gets a little bit of material, but the bishop will take the knight. So as far as material goes, his opponent is doing really, really quite dandy, yes? And now his opponent castles. He castles. So we've got the castling done. However, that's not a very good option to castle there. There is so much of Morphy's power going that direction that this is not going to be a safe game for his opponent at all. And what's the next thing? He's got all his pieces developed. bring his rook. And what does his rook do? Parks himself right across from the queen. Remember, that's blocking off the influence. Boy, wouldn't that be nice to win the exchange and pick up that rook? And you've got a chance to really cause problems. But now this pawn is pinned. Morphy's turning the tables here. So that's a very important move, getting the rooks into the game. Knight to king, knight 5. Okay, now black's going to try to get something going, it looks like. And Morphy will just simply say, well, let's bump him back. Now the king knight here comes to king 4. So the knight took a little journey, but he ended up in a strong central position. And the knights are covering each other. And so it seems like black is building up his center pretty good. Let's see what happens. Morphy is going to change the knights. Remember, this pawn is pinned. So yes, black was bringing material into the center. Now he moved the knight 3 times. Also observe that Morphy has far more pieces developed than his opponent, and they are put on maximal influence, either files or triangles, diagonals. The length of the influence of those bishops is being severely felt. The knight gets to stay there for the moment. Also, look at this. I'm telling you, this setup, and he has the file. That piece is pinned twice. Once with the rook and once with the queen. That's astonishing when you really look at that. When you stop and look at the board, that is something else. So knight takes the knight, and the knight takes the knight. So black has a good knight with a good outpost, but it's not going to last. It can't. Now the bishop comes back down to king 2. Morphy is going to rearrange things. Pawn to king, bishop 4. His opponent's going to bring out some material, and Morphy will also go pawn to bishop 4, and the knight will come over here to bishop 3. A nice, safe square, but notice how the influence of the pieces of the black are minimized. That's really interesting to watch this. It's minimized. Morphy still has much more power going through the center at black's king side. That's a really interesting setup. Bishop will come back to bishop 4, check. King will go to rook 1, no more check. However, he can't possibly be comfortable. Bishop will come down to knight 2. Now, instead of a queen backing up a bishop backs up a queen on a diagonal, and it's checkmate next move. Is that amazing? Now watch how his opponent tries to get out of this. It's hilarious how he does this. Bishop knight 2. Now queen king 2. That's pretty much the only move that makes sense, right? So now you've got pieces. Use them. What does Morphy do? I want to emphasize this because I haven't emphasized this for quite a while. I love what he does here. Rook moves over 1. Why? It's not an open file. It doesn't matter. You notice Morphy's rooks are following his opponent's queen. It's always a good strategy. It'll help you either immediately or later on in the game. Whenever you can put your rook across from your opponent's queen or king, do so. Now, the reason he didn't move the other rook across is because it's the bishop file. But this one is much more flexible, but again, across from the queen. I love how Morphy does this. It's almost like he's toying with this guy, saying, no, I want to keep my eye on your queen. And so rook comes to bishop 3. He's going to try to bring out some power And it's not going to work because there it is. The discovery, he gains a pawn, Morphy does, but the discovery on the queen. Had that been a king, it would have been a discovered check. So you have to pay attention when your opponent puts rooks across from your queen and king. You got to make sure you're safe for the moment, but you got to watch that. You can really get into some trouble. So here's a discovery on the queen. Now, it's not like he's going to lose his queen either. He was aware of that. So the queen comes to bishop 1. So the queen is okay. However, Morphy knows that rooks belong on open files. He opened up the file, so use the open file with the rook. But that would be worthless. That's way too passive. That's not using the open file. That is what Morphy does. His opponent probably went, "Holy Toledo. What a stupid move." Watch what he does. The queen will take the rook. Thank you for the rook, Mr. Morphy. I appreciate that. Give me the other one. Catch your breath, because what Morphy's about to do next is really electrifying. He takes the rook with the queen. He sacrifices the exchange in the most dramatic way powerful. Notice how he deflected the queen off of the bishop's file. He sacrificed the rook to move the queen over so that he could get his own queen in there, but he sacrificed the exchange, getting rid of the rook. Why would he do that? This is a beautiful, beautiful thing. You do see that he can't take the queen with the pawn, right? Because it's checkmate next move because of the powerful bishops. That square's taboo for the king. So the deflection of the queen was masterful. So what happens now is queen comes up to king 2. You have to challenge that queen. Otherwise, it's a checkmate. Again, those long diagonals backed up with a rook, although it's not an open file, but it doesn't need to be because he's got the diagonals. I keep wanting to say triangles. I don't know why I keep saying that. Sorry. Queen will take the pawn check. Fundamentally so. Wow. Notice the dynamic play. Now, this is what Jeremy Silman talked about all the time. Static play. Now, when the board calls for it, static play is entirely appropriate. But this calls for dynamic play, and so he's really giving it to him. Queen takes pawn. Queen takes queen. Pawn, bishop, 6. Remember, and yet he's going to push the pawn. An excellent choice. This is a good little lesson. Queen takes the pawn. Check. He knows he's in trouble, so he's going to throw everything he can at Morphy. Queen takes pawn, check. King takes queen, of course. Bishop takes pawn, check. He's got nothing else. King takes bishop. So Morphy gets all of his material back because his opponent can see the checkmate. Pawn, king, rook 4. And rook, king, knight 1. And that's where he resigned. So what a fantastic game. And notice the interaction, the really good coordination with the queen and the bishops all the way across the board. And then at the end, the coordination with the rook and the bishops. And it is the bishops on an open board, just like Jeremy Silman taught us, as well as the rook on the open files that put this opponent away. So there is your chess game of the day. Paul Morphy rocks the house. Fantastic stuff. I always love looking at Paul Morphy games because they're so much fun, because long before Jeremy Silman even was thought of, or his parents or his grandparents, Paul Morphy had the system of imbalances and he utilized it. Silman systemized them. Morphy played them early on. All of the greats have been playing that forever, which is our benefit. So thanks for watching the Backyard Professor Chess videos. Remember, be good, do well, have fun, and make friends. Be nice. It's the best way. It's a lot more fun in life to have friends, to share food with, to enjoy company, to learn from, to read a book with, to go hiking with, than it is to have enemies. So make the world a better place, and I will see you guys on the next Backyard Professor Chess videos. Thank you for watching. Appreciate all your support and donations. You guys have a fantastic day. That's a direct order. I love being bossy. I can't help it.